Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and as always, I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Julia.
Hey, Jason. Hello, everyone. We're so happy you're joining us today. If you're someone who understands English pretty well but just can't seem to speak it, then this episode is just for you.
Yes, that's such a common problem. We hear this all the time from English learners. I can understand English when I read or listen, but when I try to speak, I freeze.
Exactly. You're not alone. This is something millions of learners experience. It can be frustrating. You might know the words in your head, but they just won't come out when you need them.
So today, we're going to talk about why this happens, what's really going on in your brain, and most importantly, how to fix it. We'll share simple ideas, real-life examples, and easy tips that you can start using right away.
Whether you're a beginner or someone who's been learning for years, we want to help you turn your English understanding into confident speaking.
So, grab your headphones, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's episode. I can understand, but I can't speak. So, let's begin by asking the big question: why can so many English learners understand a lot, but still can't speak?
That's such an important question. And honestly, Jason, the first reason is fear. Many learners are afraid of making mistakes or sounding silly. They worry that people will laugh at them or not understand them.
Yes, and that fear makes them stay quiet, even when they know what they want to say. I've seen students freeze just because they weren't sure about grammar or pronunciation.
Exactly. It's like the brain says, you understand this, but don't try to speak unless you're 100% sure. And that stops learning. Mistakes are normal. They're how we grow.
Another reason is lack of speaking practice. Many learners study grammar, read books, and watch videos, but they don't practice speaking regularly. And speaking is a skill. You have to use it often.
Right. Listening and reading are input, but speaking is output, and it's harder because you must think fast and produce language on the spot.
Some learners know hundreds of English words, but they've never actually said them out loud. That's like knowing how to swim from watching videos, but never getting into the water.
Great example. Another reason is something we call the silent period. This happens when learners understand a lot of English but haven't yet started using it actively. It's a normal stage, but if it lasts too long, it becomes a habit.
Yes, and many learners get stuck in that silent stage because they wait until their English is perfect. But it will never be perfect, and it doesn't need to be. Speaking early and often is the key.
Also, think about classroom learning. Many learners spend years in classes focused on writing and grammar, but very little on speaking. So they understand English on paper, but not in conversation.
Exactly. So if you're listening and you've been wondering, why can I understand but not speak? Remember, it's not because you're bad at English. It's because speaking is a different skill, and it just needs more practice.
And the good news? You can change it. Step by step, you can turn your understanding into real speaking ability.
Coming up next, we'll share some real-life examples that many of you will recognize and talk about how it feels to be stuck in that silent stage. Now let's talk about something really important: how it feels when you can understand English but can't speak it. Because we know this problem isn't just about language. It's about confidence, too.
Yes, it can feel really frustrating. I remember one of my students from Brazil. Her listening skills were amazing. She could understand everything I said in class. But when I asked her a question, she would freeze and say, I don't know how to say it.
That's so common. I had a student from Afghanistan who could watch English movies without subtitles and understand most of the story. But when we had a speaking activity in class, he would avoid talking. He told me, The words are in my mind, but my mouth can't say them.
And I've felt that way too, Jason. When I was learning Spanish, I understood my teacher perfectly, but when I tried to speak, I got nervous. My mind went blank. I was afraid of looking foolish.
Yes, that's the key. Many learners feel stuck. They want to speak, they know the words, but fear and pressure make everything harder. And then they start saying things like, maybe I'm not good at speaking.
But that's not true at all. Speaking is just a skill like riding a bike or playing a musical instrument. You won't be perfect at first. You have to fall a few times before you find your balance.
Absolutely. And the sad part is, many learners blame themselves. They think, something's wrong with me. I study so much, but I still can't speak. But really, they just haven't had enough speaking practice in a safe, low-pressure environment.
So if you're listening and you feel this way, stuck, nervous, or even embarrassed, just know you're not alone and you're not bad at English. You just need a new way to build your confidence and practice speaking more often.
Coming up next, we're going to break down how your brain learns to speak and why understanding and speaking are two very different things. Let's dig a little deeper now and talk about the science behind speaking. Why is it that we can understand a language but still have trouble speaking it?
That's a fascinating topic. So, the brain actually uses different areas for understanding and speaking. Listening and reading happen in one part of the brain, mainly the areas responsible for input. But speaking happens in another part, one that handles output and muscle coordination.
Exactly. When you listen, your brain processes information passively. But when you speak, you have to think, form a sentence, recall vocabulary, apply grammar, and control your mouth muscles, all at the same time.
It's like a performance. And it takes time for your brain to connect all those steps smoothly. That's why you may understand a sentence in English but struggle to produce one quickly.
Here's something cool. Scientists call this process automaticity. That means your brain learns to do something automatically, without thinking too hard. But to reach that point, you need lots of repetition and real use.
Yes, and just like driving a car, at first you have to think about every move, brake, signal, turn. But after practice, it becomes natural. Speaking English works the same way.
Also, when we listen, we often have more time. We can pause or replay something, but when we speak, there's pressure to respond right away, and that stress can block your brain from working smoothly.
So if you've been wondering, why can't I speak even though I understand? Remember, it's because your brain hasn't developed those speaking pathways yet, but with the right kind of practice, you can build them.
That's right. It's not about intelligence or talent. It's about training your brain and your mouth to work together. And that's what we're going to help you with in the next part.
Coming up, we'll share the most common blocks that stop people from speaking and how to break through them one by one.
Let's talk about something really powerful now, fear. Fear is one of the biggest reasons people don't speak, even when they understand English very well.
Yes, fear can be so strong. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of people judging you. Fear of forgetting words or not saying something correctly.
And that fear usually starts in school, where many learners are corrected for every little error. So they start thinking, if I'm not perfect, I shouldn't speak.
That mindset is dangerous because it kills confidence. But the truth is, mistakes are part of learning. Everyone who speaks English fluently today, every single one of them made lots of mistakes while learning.
Absolutely. Think about babies. When they learn to speak, they don't care about grammar. They say what they can. They make mistakes, but they keep going. That's how they improve. by trying.
And you know what? Most native English speakers will understand you, even if your grammar isn't perfect. They appreciate the effort. They're not expecting you to speak like a news anchor.
That's right. And here's something important. You don't need perfect English to be a good speaker. You just need to be clear, natural, and confident. That's what people really respond to.
One tip I always share is speak even when you're not ready, because waiting to be perfect only makes you wait forever. Start small, use simple words, and speak with pride.
Yes, and celebrate the small wins. If you introduce yourself, order a coffee, or ask a question in English, that's success. Don't ignore those moments. They show progress.
So let's all agree on this. We won't let fear stop us anymore. Let's choose courage over perfection.
Coming up next, we'll give you some simple, practical techniques to start speaking more every day, even if you don't have a speaking partner. Now, let's get practical. If you understand English but can't speak it yet, what can you actually do to change that? Well, here are some simple speaking activities you can do every day, even alone.
Yes, these tips are great for learners who don't have a speaking partner or teacher around. Let's start with one of my favorites, shadowing. That means listening to a sentence in English and repeating it out loud right after, like a shadow.
Exactly. You can do this with podcasts, movies, or YouTube videos. Just pause after each sentence and repeat what you hear. It helps you improve pronunciation, rhythm, and fluency.
And it trains your mouth to work with your mind. You'll start speaking more naturally without even thinking about grammar rules.
Another great activity is describing your day in English. For example, say out loud, "I'm brushing my teeth now. I'm getting ready for work. I'm cooking lunch." It sounds simple, but it's powerful.
That's such a useful tip, Jason. You're teaching your brain to think in English during real-life situations, and that builds automatic speaking habits.
You can also try mirror practice. Stand in front of the mirror and speak about any topic: your favorite food, your plans, your childhood. Watch your expressions and get comfortable with your own voice in English.
That's one of the best ways to build confidence. You become your own speaking coach, and you'll notice where you get stuck so you can improve.
Here's another tip. Record yourself speaking. Pick a topic, speak for 1 minute, and then listen to it. You'll hear your strengths and the areas you can work on. Over time, you'll hear real progress.
Absolutely. And if you're shy, don't worry. You don't have to share it with anyone. It's just for you. Think of it like keeping a speaking diary.
The key is speak every single day, even for 5 minutes. Don't wait for a perfect moment or a partner. Create those speaking moments for yourself.
Coming up, we'll talk about how to create an English-speaking environment, even if you live in a non-English-speaking country.
So now let's focus on something very important: how to practice speaking alone. Because a lot of our listeners tell us, "I don't have anyone to talk to in English."
And that's okay. You can actually make amazing progress by speaking to yourself. It may feel strange at first, but it really works. Your brain doesn't care who you talk to. It just wants practice.
Exactly. One easy method is to start your day by talking about your plans. For example, say, "Today I will go to the market. I need to buy vegetables. Then I'll study English for 1 hour."
Or you can do a daily summary at night. Just talk about what you did. I woke up early. I studied for my test. I cooked lunch. I watched an English video. It's a simple way to review your day and build your speaking skills.
Here's another idea. Ask yourself questions. Pretend you're in a job interview or having a chat with a friend. Ask, "What do you like to do in your free time?" Then answer it in English.
That's such a fun one. You can even make a list of questions like, what's your favorite food? Where do you want to travel? What was your best childhood memory? These topics help you speak naturally, like in real conversations.
And don't forget, you can use your phone to record yourself. Choose a topic, speak for 1 minute, then listen and reflect. It's a great way to notice your progress over time.
Also, label things in your home. Put a sticker on your mirror that says mirror. On your desk, write desk. Then when you walk by, say the words out loud. It builds vocabulary with spoken practice.
So even if you're alone, your house can become your speaking classroom. And the more you do this, the more confident and fluent you'll become.
Next, we'll talk about how to build a routine and stay consistent, because daily practice is the secret to fluency.
Let's share some free tools and resources that can help you practice speaking, even if you're on a tight budget.
Yes, one of the best resources is, you guessed it, YouTube. There are so many English-speaking practice channels where you can repeat after the teacher, join conversations, or follow pronunciation tips.
Another great tool is language learning apps like Duolingo, BBC Learning English, HelloTalk, and Tandem. With HelloTalk and Tandem, you can actually connect with native speakers or learners and practice through voice notes.
Also, don't forget Google Translate and text-to-speech tools. Type a sentence in English and listen to how it's pronounced, then repeat it. It's like having a mini speaking coach in your pocket.
And of course, podcasts, just like this one. Listen, pause, repeat, and shadow us. You'll be surprised how much your speaking improves by just following along.
The internet is full of free help. You just have to use it regularly. And remember, speaking practice doesn't have to cost money, just time and a little courage.
Coming up, how to stay motivated when results feel slow, and how to keep going when you feel stuck. Before we wrap up today's episode, we've got a quick challenge for you. This is your chance to practice what you've learned.
Here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, we want you to talk to yourself in English for 5 minutes a day. It could be about anything, your plans, your thoughts, or even describing something you see.
And don't just think about it, say it out loud. It's important to hear your own voice speaking English. Remember, this is your time to practice speaking without fear.
We'll be waiting for you to share your progress. Try it out. And in our next episode, we'll talk about how to keep building on this habit.
Good luck, and remember, every bit of practice counts. We'll see you next time. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you that learning to speak English is a journey, and it's completely normal to face challenges along the way. But remember, you are not alone in this process.
That's right. Every learner has been in your shoes. It takes time, patience, and persistence. Don't be discouraged by the mistakes. Every mistake is a step forward. You're learning, and that's what counts.
Exactly. You've already got the most important part, the understanding. Now, the key is to build your confidence and start speaking. Even if it feels uncomfortable at first, keep practicing, and you will improve.
Just think of all the conversations you will be able to have one day, whether it's chatting with a friend, giving a presentation, or traveling the world. All of this is possible with consistent practice.
Let's recap the key points from today's episode. First, understanding English is great, but speaking takes practice. We talked about the science behind speaking and why it's normal to feel a gap between understanding and speaking.
We also discussed how fear can stop you from speaking, but with the right mindset, mistakes are okay, you'll find confidence. And we gave you practical activities like shadowing, mirror practice, and speaking to yourself every day.
And remember, tools like YouTube, language apps, and podcasts are your friends. Use them to get better every day. Plus, don't forget to take up the challenge of speaking English for 5 minutes a day for the next 24 hours.
Yes, it's all about taking those small steps forward. Don't expect perfection. Expect progress. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes.
And we're here to support you every step of the way. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and celebrate every victory, big or small. You've got this.
Thank you so much for listening. Keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next episode of the English Learning Podcast. Stay confident and keep speaking.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Personal Growth Talks podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and with me, as always, is the amazing co-host Julia.
Hi, Jason, and hello to all our wonderful listeners. We are so glad you're here today because we are going to talk about something super important: understanding yourself.
Yes, Julia. Understanding yourself is the very first and most essential step toward personal and interpersonal growth. When you really know who you are, you can make better decisions, connect with others more deeply, and live a more fulfilling life.
Absolutely, Jason. But understanding yourself isn't just about knowing what you like or dislike. It's about looking deeper. It's about exploring your emotions, your thoughts, and even your weaknesses.
That's so true, Julia. Let's start by breaking it down for our listeners. Julia, what do you think is the first thing someone should do if they want to start understanding themselves better?
Great question, Jason. I think the first step is self-reflection. That means taking time to think about your experiences, your feelings, and your actions. For example, you could ask yourself questions like, why did I feel upset about that situation? Or, why do I enjoy certain activities but not others?
That's a really good point. Self-reflection helps us understand the why behind our feelings and actions. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can reflect by keeping a journal, talking to someone you trust, or even just sitting quietly and thinking about your day.
Exactly. And once you start reflecting, you might notice patterns. For instance, maybe you feel anxious when you try something new, or you feel happy when you spend time outdoors. These patterns can tell you a lot about yourself.
That's so important, Julia. But here's the thing. Understanding yourself also means being honest with yourself. Sometimes we avoid thinking about things that make us uncomfortable, like our fears or mistakes. But when we face those things, we can grow so much.
Right, Jason. Being honest with yourself doesn't mean being hard on yourself. It means accepting who you are, the good and the bad, and seeing it as a starting point for growth.
Well said, Julia. Another key part of understanding yourself is identifying your values. Values are the things that matter most to you. They guide your decisions and help you stay true to yourself.
Yes. For example, if you value kindness, you might make an effort to help others, even when it's not easy. Or, if you value learning, you might spend time reading or taking courses.
Exactly. And when you know your values, you can also set boundaries. That means saying no to things that go against what you believe or that don't make you happy.
That's a great point, Jason. And let's not forget about self-awareness, which is the ability to recognize your own emotions and understand how they affect your thoughts and actions.
Yes, Julia. Self-awareness helps you understand how you react to situations. For instance, if you get angry during a discussion, being self-aware means you can pause, recognize your anger, and choose to respond calmly instead of lashing out.
That's so helpful, Jason. And as we grow in understanding ourselves, it also becomes easier to understand others. When you know what you feel and why, you can empathize with what others might be feeling too.
Exactly. Self-awareness improves relationships because you can communicate more openly and resolve conflicts better.
So true, Jason. Let's give our listeners a quick call to action. If you want to start understanding yourself better, here's a simple exercise. Every evening, take 5 minutes to ask yourself, What went well today? What didn't go well? And why? Write down your answers in a notebook.
That's a great tip, Julia. And don't forget, this process takes time. Be patient with yourself, and remember, every small step counts.
Absolutely. And listeners, we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts or experiences with us in the comments. Have you started your journey of understanding yourself? What challenges have you faced?
Before we go, Julia, I think it's worth reminding everyone that understanding yourself isn't a one-time thing. It's an ongoing journey. Life keeps changing, and so do we.
That's so true, Jason. We grow with new experiences, challenges, and opportunities. So it's important to keep revisiting our values, our goals, and our emotions. Think of it like a lifelong project, a project where you're the masterpiece.
Beautifully said, Julia. And don't forget, you don't have to do this alone. There are so many resources out there, like books, podcasts, and even friends or mentors who can support you on your journey of self-discovery.
Yes, Jason. And for our beginner English learners tuning in, this process can also help you build confidence in expressing yourself in English. When you know yourself, you can talk about your feelings, ideas, and experiences more clearly, and that's a big step in becoming a better communicator.
Absolutely, Julia. Self-understanding and communication go hand in hand. And the more you practice, the better you'll get. Not just in understanding yourself, but also in connecting with others.
Exactly. So, listeners, remember to be kind to yourself as you grow. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems. Every step you take is bringing you closer to becoming the best version of yourself.
Well, Julia, I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you, as always, for such an insightful conversation.
Thank you too, Jason, and a big thank you to our listeners for being part of this journey with us.
Yes, let us know. And if you found this episode helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the Personal Growth Talks podcast. It helps us reach more people like you who are ready to grow and learn.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time, keep growing and keep learning.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the English Learning Podcast, where we help you improve your English speaking, listening, and confidence. I'm your host, Jason, and today we have an exciting topic for you: unlocking your fluent English brain. And of course, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Julia. Hey, Julia.
Hey Jason, hi everyone. I'm super excited about today's episode because we're going to break down the secrets to thinking and speaking in English naturally without hesitation.
Yes, and let me ask our listeners a quick question. Do you ever feel like your brain just stops working when you try to speak English? Maybe you know the words, you know the grammar, but when it's time to talk, boom, your mind goes blank. If that sounds familiar, don't worry. You're not alone.
That's so true. A lot of English learners struggle with this, and it's not because they're bad at English, it's because their brain isn't trained to think in English yet. But don't worry. Today, we'll show you how to train your brain to unlock fluency and speak English more naturally and confidently.
Exactly. By the end of this episode, you'll learn powerful techniques to stop translating in your head, think in English faster, and speak fluently without overthinking. So, get ready.
And before we start, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you find today's tips helpful, share this with a friend who's also learning English.
All right, let's dive in. First, let's talk about why speaking English feels difficult for many learners. Julia, why do so many people struggle with fluency? All right, Julia, let's start by addressing the big question. Why do so many English learners struggle to speak fluently? Even when they know a lot of words and grammar, they still find it hard to talk naturally. Why is that?
Great question, Jason. The truth is, speaking English isn't just about knowing words and grammar. It's about training your brain to think in English. And most learners don't train their brain the right way. That's why they feel stuck when they try to speak.
That makes a lot of sense. I've heard so many English learners say things like, I can understand English, but I can't speak it. Or, I know the words, but when I try to talk, my brain freezes.
Exactly. And there are three main reasons for this: overthinking, lack of practice, and fear of making mistakes. Let's break them down one by one.
Good idea. Let's start with overthinking. A lot of English learners translate every sentence in their head before they speak. Instead of thinking in English naturally, they're trying to find the right words in their native language first.
Yes, and that takes too much time. Imagine if you had to translate every word when you're having a conversation. It would be exhausting. That's why so many learners speak slowly or hesitate too much.
Right? And that leads to the second problem: lack of practice. Many learners focus too much on studying English, but not enough on using it in real life. They read books, memorize grammar rules, but they don't actually speak English every day.
That's a huge issue. Speaking is like a muscle. You have to train it regularly to get stronger. If you don't practice speaking, your brain won't get comfortable forming sentences quickly.
And that brings us to the third reason: fear of making mistakes. A lot of learners are afraid of saying something wrong or sounding silly. So, instead of speaking, they stay quiet.
Yes, but the truth is, mistakes are a natural part of learning. Even native speakers make mistakes all the time. If you're too afraid to talk, you'll never give your brain the chance to improve.
Absolutely. So, to summarize, overthinking, lack of practice, and fear of mistakes are the biggest reasons why speaking English feels difficult. But don't worry, we're going to show you how to fix all of these problems and unlock your fluent English brain.
Yes, and the secret is understanding how your brain learns languages. So let's move on to the next section: the science of unlocking a fluent English brain.
Now that we know why speaking English feels difficult, let's talk about how your brain actually learns a language and what you can do to unlock fluency faster. Julia, have you ever noticed how babies learn languages compared to adults?
Oh, absolutely. Babies don't sit down with a grammar book or memorize word lists. Instead, they listen, imitate, and repeat words naturally without even thinking about it.
Exactly. And that's because their brains are wired for language learning. But here's the interesting part: adults can train their brains to learn English the same way. The key is to stop thinking about English as a school subject and start treating it like a real-life skill.
That's so true. And there's actually a scientific reason why this works. When you speak a language, your brain uses something called neural pathways. The more you use English, the stronger these pathways become, making it easier and faster to speak without hesitation.
Right. Think of it like a road in your brain. If you rarely use English, the road is small and slow. But the more you practice, the road gets bigger and smoother, so your thoughts flow in English naturally.
I love that example. And here's another cool fact. When you think in English instead of translating, you activate a different part of your brain, the same part that native speakers use. This helps you speak faster and more naturally.
That's why it's so important to train your brain to think in English. The more you do it, the easier fluency becomes. But here's the mistake many learners make. They think they need to learn more words and grammar first. In reality, they need to activate their fluency pathways by actually speaking more.
Yes, and that's why today we're going to give you some powerful brain training techniques that will help you stop translating, start thinking in English, and speak more fluently.
That's right. Up next, we'll share 6 powerful techniques to train your brain for fluency. Get ready. These are game changers. All right. Now it's time for the most important part: how to train your brain to think and speak in English fluently. We're going to share 6 powerful techniques that will help you stop translating in your head and start speaking naturally. Ready, Julia?
Absolutely. These techniques are simple, but they are extremely effective if you use them consistently. So, let's get started with the first one.
The first technique is the no translation rule. This means you should stop translating from your native language into English. Instead, try to think directly in English.
Yes, and one way to do this is to describe things around you in English. For example, if you see a car, instead of thinking of the word in your native language first, just say in English, "That's a red car. The car is moving fast." Keep it simple.
Exactly. Start with small thoughts and build from there. Over time, your brain will get used to thinking in English first.
The second technique is talking to yourself in English. I know this might sound funny, but it really works.
It does. You can describe what you're doing out loud. For example, I'm making coffee. Now I'm adding sugar. The coffee smells great. This helps your brain create stronger English connections.
And if you don't want to talk out loud, just do it in your head. Narrate your day, your actions, and even your emotions in English.
The third technique is called the 5-second rule. When someone asks you a question in English, don't take too long to think. Respond within 5 seconds.
This trains your brain to think quickly in English. Even if your answer isn't perfect, just say something. The more you do this, the faster your fluency will improve.
Yes, fluency isn't about speaking perfectly. It's about speaking naturally. So don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Next, we have shadowing. This means listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say immediately.
Right. You can do this with podcasts, movies, or YouTube videos. Just pause, repeat, and copy the rhythm, pronunciation, and tone. This helps train your brain to sound more natural.
It's like training your brain and mouth to work together faster. Try this for just 5 minutes a day, and you'll see big improvements.
Another great tip: think in phrases, not just individual words.
Yes, many learners focus on single words, but native speakers use phrases and expressions. For example, instead of thinking happy, think I'm feeling really happy today.
Great point. Learning common phrases and sentence patterns will help your brain speak faster and more naturally.
And finally, the most important tip: speak every single day.
Even if you don't have a language partner, you can record yourself, talk to AI chatbots, or join online English groups. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes.
Yes, fluency is all about consistent practice. If you use these 6 techniques daily, your brain will start thinking in English automatically.
That's right. So now, let's move on to the final part: how to make these habits a part of your daily life. Now, we've shared some amazing techniques to train your brain for fluency. But let's be honest, many English learners struggle with fear and self-doubt. Julia, have you ever felt nervous speaking a new language?
Absolutely. I remember being so afraid of making mistakes. I thought people would judge me, so I avoided speaking, but that only slowed down my progress.
That's a very common problem. Many learners think, what if I make a mistake? What if people laugh at me? But here's the truth. Mistakes are a natural part of learning. Even native speakers make mistakes.
Exactly. Think about how kids learn a language. They make mistakes all the time, but they keep speaking and improving. They don't feel embarrassed.
So, the first step to overcoming fear is to accept that mistakes are normal. Instead of saying, "I'm afraid of mistakes," say, "Mistakes help me grow."
That's so important. Instead of being afraid of mistakes, see them as progress. Every mistake teaches you something new.
Yes. If you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. So, celebrate your mistakes. They mean you're improving.
Another tip: don't wait until you feel ready to speak. If you keep waiting, you'll never start.
That's right. Confidence comes after you start speaking, not before. The more you speak, the more comfortable you become.
Yes, and here's a little trick. If you feel nervous, slow down your speech and breathe. It helps you stay calm and focused.
Another important point: fluency is about communication, not perfection. You don't need perfect grammar to be understood.
Exactly. Think about it. When a tourist visits your country and speaks your language with mistakes, do you laugh at them? No, you appreciate their effort.
That's such a good point. Most people are kind and patient. They care about what you're saying, not whether your grammar is perfect.
The last tip: surround yourself with English as much as possible. The more you listen and speak, the more confident you'll feel.
Yes, watch English videos, join online English groups, and speak whenever you get a chance. The more you expose yourself to English, the faster you'll overcome fear.
And remember, every great English speaker was once a beginner. Keep going and fluency will come.
Absolutely. Now, let's wrap up with some final thoughts and action steps you can take today. We've covered a lot today: how to train your brain, overcome fear, and speak with confidence. But now comes the most important part. How do you make fluency a daily habit?
Yes, learning English is like going to the gym. You need consistent practice to see results. So let's break down an easy daily fluency routine that you can follow.
The first step: begin your day with English. Spend just 10 minutes listening to something in English.
This could be a podcast, an audiobook, or even a YouTube video. The key is to train your brain to think in English first thing in the morning.
Great point. And while listening, you can try shadowing, repeating what you hear to improve your pronunciation and fluency.
The next step: think in English as much as possible. Describe what you see, what you're doing, and how you feel, all in English.
Yes. For example, instead of thinking, "I need to buy milk" in your native language, say in your mind, "I need to buy milk today." This helps you train your brain.
And if you're walking somewhere, just describe what you see. The sky is blue. I see a big tree. That person is wearing a red jacket.
Even if you don't have a speaking partner, you can still practice speaking daily. Set a timer for 5 minutes and talk about a topic in English.
Yes, you can record yourself speaking, talk to an AI chatbot, or even have a conversation with yourself in the mirror. Just keep speaking.
The goal is to get comfortable expressing your thoughts in English without hesitation.
And before you go to bed, spend just 5 minutes reviewing what you learned. You can write down new words, read a short article, or reflect on what you spoke about today.
This helps your brain store new information while you sleep. It's a simple habit that will speed up your learning.
So, let's recap. Your daily fluency routine can be: 1. Listen to English for 10 minutes in the morning. 2. Think in English throughout the day. Speak for 5 minutes, even if it's to yourself. 4. Review what you learned before bed.
If you follow this simple routine, your fluency will improve faster than you think. Consistency is the key.
Absolutely. Now let's wrap things up with some final encouragement and action steps.
Wow, we've covered a lot today. We talked about why speaking English feels difficult, the science behind fluency, techniques to train your brain, overcoming fear, and even creating a daily fluency routine.
That's right. Now, let's quickly recap the most important takeaways from today's conversation.
First, remember that fluency is a mindset. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep practicing.
Second, train your brain with consistent listening, speaking, and thinking in English every single day.
And third, don't let fear stop you. Mistakes are a natural part of learning. Speak, make mistakes, and learn from them.
And most importantly, make English a part of your daily life. Even 10 to 15 minutes a day can make a huge difference over time.
Now, here's your action step. Choose one technique we discussed today and start using it right away.
Yes, whether it's shadowing, thinking in English, or doing a 5-minute speaking session, just start today.
And if you found this episode helpful, subscribe to our podcast and share it with a friend who wants to improve their English.
Also, leave a comment or send us a message. What's your biggest challenge in learning English? We'd love to hear from you.
That's it for today's episode. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and remember, your fluent English brain is closer than you think.
Yes, keep going, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Learning Podcast, where we help you improve your English skills one step at a time. I'm your host, Jason, and today we're diving into an exciting and highly requested topic: how to boost your English with American accent tips.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia, your co-host, and I'm thrilled to be here today. The American accent is something so many English learners want to master, and for good reason. It's not just about sounding like a native speaker, it's about being understood clearly and feeling confident when you communicate.
Exactly, Julia. In this podcast, we're going to explore what makes the American accent unique, share practical tips to help you sound more natural, and even tackle some common challenges that learners face.
And we'll make it fun and interactive. So, if you're ready to boost your confidence and work on that American accent, stay with us until the end. You're going to learn a lot today.
Absolutely. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our English learning tips. All right, let's jump right in. All right, let's start by talking about why focusing on the American accent can be so important for English learners. Julia, what do you think?
Well, Jason, the American accent is one of the most widely recognized English accents in the world. Think about it. Movies, TV shows, music, and even business communications often feature American English. So, mastering it can help learners connect with a global audience.
That's a great point. It's not just about sounding American, though. A clear American accent helps people understand you more easily, whether you're speaking to someone in the U.S. or even someone from another country who's familiar with American English.
Exactly. Plus, having a confident accent can make a huge difference in how you feel when speaking English. When you know you're being understood, it boosts your self-esteem, whether it's in a job interview, a presentation, or even just a casual conversation.
Right. And it's not about being perfect or losing your unique identity. It's about clarity and communication. An accent is just one tool that makes your English more effective.
I love that, Jason. And here's another interesting fact. Improving your accent can also sharpen your listening skills. When you practice the sounds and rhythm of American English, you naturally become better at understanding native speakers.
That's true. So, learning the American accent isn't just for speaking. It's for listening, connecting, and communicating effectively. And the best part is, it's something anyone can learn with the right mindset and practice.
Absolutely. So, if you've been thinking about improving your American accent, remember, it's not just about sounding like someone else. It's about becoming the best, clearest version of yourself in English.
Well said, Julia. With that, let's dive into the specifics. In the next segment, we'll explore the key features of the American accent and how you can start practicing them today. Now that we've covered why the American accent is so important, let's break it down. What exactly makes the American accent unique? Julia, do you want to start with one of the key features?
Sure, Jason. One of the most noticeable things about the American accent is how vowels are pronounced. American English has a lot of long, drawn-out vowels. For example, the word cat has a broader A sound compared to British English. And don't forget about the R sounds. They're much stronger and more pronounced in American English, like in car, water, or doctor.
That's a great point. American English is what we call rhotic, meaning the R sound is emphasized even at the end of words. In contrast, in British English, that R is often silent. Try saying car the American way. Car.
Exactly. Another key feature is the flap T sound. This is when the T in words like water or butter sounds more like a soft D. So instead of saying water, Americans often say water.
Right. And that's something that can make your accent sound much more natural. It's subtle, but practicing this can really help. Another thing to note is the rhythm of American English. It has a clear stress pattern, with some words or syllables being emphasized more than others.
That's true. For example, in the phrase, I'm going to the store, the stress naturally falls on going and store. The smaller words like I'm and to the R less emphasized and spoken quickly. Understanding this rhythm can make your speech sound more fluid.
Good point, Julia. And let's not forget intonation, how the pitch of your voice rises and falls. In American English, we tend to use a rising intonation for yes or no questions like, "Are you coming?" But for statements, we use a falling intonation, like, "I'm going to the store."
Intonation really makes a difference. Another unique aspect is the use of connected speech. Americans often link words together when speaking quickly. For example, instead of saying, "What do you want?" word by word, it sounds more like, "What do you want?"
Yes, that can be challenging at first, but practicing these patterns helps a lot. So to summarize, focus on your vowels, the strong R sounds, the flap T, rhythm, intonation, and connected speech.
Exactly. And don't worry about trying to perfect all of this at once. Start with one or two features, practice them, and gradually add more as you become comfortable.
Great advice, Julia. Up next, we'll share some tips and exercises you can use to practice these features in your daily life. Stay tuned. Now that we've covered the key features of the American accent, let's talk about how you can practice it effectively. Julia, do you want to kick things off with a tip?
Of course, Jason. One of the best ways to start is by listening to native speakers. You can watch American movies, TV shows, or even YouTube videos. Pay close attention to how they pronounce words, their intonation, and how they connect words.
That's a great tip, Julia. And while you're listening, try to practice shadowing. For those who don't know, shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they're saying almost at the same time. It's like being their echo.
Yes, it's such a powerful exercise. You're not only mimicking their words, but also their rhythm, tone, and stress patterns. A good trick is to start with short clips or phrases and gradually work your way up to longer conversations.
Another great way to practice is by recording yourself. When you speak, Record your voice and then compare it to a native speaker saying the same thing. This can help you catch areas where your pronunciation or intonation might be different.
Absolutely, Jason. And here's another fun one. Practice with tongue twisters. They're great for improving your pronunciation and clarity. For example, try saying, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, focusing on each sound.
Tongue twisters are such a fun way to practice. And here's something many learners overlook. Learning the International Phonetic Alphabet, IPA. It might sound technical, but it's a tool that shows you exactly how to pronounce each sound in American English.
That's a fantastic idea, Jason. The IPA can be so helpful, especially for tricky sounds like the th in think or that. Speaking of tricky sounds, practicing minimal pairs, words that differ by just one sound, can really help too. For example, bit and beat or van and fan.
Good point, Julia. And don't forget about tools like language learning apps or accent training apps. Many of them have exercises specifically for practicing pronunciation. Some even have AI feedback to help you improve.
Yes, and one more tip. If possible, try to find a language partner or coach who's a native speaker. Practicing real conversations is one of the best ways to improve. Even if you don't have a partner, you can try talking to yourself or reading aloud to get used to the sounds and rhythm.
That's true. Remember, the key is consistency. Spend just 10 to 15 minutes a day practicing these tips, and you'll notice a big difference over time.
Exactly, Jason. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn. The more you practice, the more natural the American accent will feel.
Great advice, Julia. Now that we've shared these tips, let's talk about some common challenges learners face and how to overcome them in our next segment. Now, let's talk about something that all learners face at some point. Challenges. Julia, what are some common difficulties people encounter when trying to master the American accent?
Great question, Jason. One big challenge is getting used to the strong R sound. For learners from non-rhotic language backgrounds like some parts of Asia or Europe, pronouncing the R in words like car or word can feel unnatural at first.
That's so true. Another challenge is the flap T sound, where the T sounds like a soft D, as in water or butter. Learners often either overemphasize the T or avoid it entirely, making their speech sound less natural.
Exactly. And let's not forget intonation and rhythm. Many learners struggle with stressing the right syllables or using natural rising and falling tones in their sentences, which can make their speech sound flat or robotic.
Good point, Julia. Another issue is fear of making mistakes. Sometimes learners are so worried about sounding wrong that they hold back from practicing. But the truth is, practice is the only way to get better.
That's so important, Jason. And one more challenge is understanding connected speech. Words like going to becoming gonna can confuse learners, and they might struggle to replicate the same flow in their own speech.
So true. But here's the good news. Every one of these challenges can be overcome with practice and patience. Start small. Focus on one area at a time, like the ER sound or rhythm, and gradually build from there.
And don't be afraid to ask for feedback. Whether it's from a teacher, a language partner, or even an app, getting corrections is a great way to improve.
Absolutely, Julia. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. With consistency and the right mindset, anyone can master these challenges.
That's right. And in our final segment, we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts and encouragement to help you on your journey.
Well, we've covered a lot today. from why the American accent matters to its key features, practical tips, and even how to tackle common challenges. Julia, any final thoughts for our listeners?
Absolutely, Jason. Remember, improving your accent isn't about losing your identity. It's about being understood and feeling confident when you communicate. Focus on progress, not perfection, and celebrate your small victories along the way.
Well said, Julia. And to all our listeners, consistency is the key. Even just 10 to 15 minutes a day practicing your accent can lead to big improvements over time.
Exactly. And don't forget, there are so many resources out there to help you. Movies, podcasts, apps, and even this one you're listening to right now.
Speaking of resources, if you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out the other episodes in our playlist. We've got plenty of tips and conversations to help you on your English learning journey.
And we'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments what tips you found helpful or what challenges you're facing. We're here to help.
That's right. And don't forget to like this video and share it with anyone else who's learning English. Together, we can all improve.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Keep practicing, stay positive, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone, and happy learning. Hello, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and as always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Julia.
Hi, everyone. We're so excited to have you here today. And trust me, this episode is going to be a game changer for anyone who feels nervous about speaking English.
That's right. Today, we're talking about something that holds so many learners back: fear. The fear of making mistakes, the fear of being judged, and the fear of not sounding perfect. If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone.
Exactly. But here's the good news: you can break that fear, and you can start speaking with confidence. And in this episode, we're going to show you how to do that.
And here's a quick question for you, our listeners. Have you ever wanted to say something in English but held back because you were too nervous? If that's you, stay tuned, because by the end of this episode, you'll have the tools to overcome that fear and start speaking.
Yes, and remember, learning English is a journey. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. So, are you ready to break the fear and start speaking?
Let's do this! All right, now that we've set the stage, let's dive into the real question. Why do people fear speaking English?
Good question. And honestly, Jason, fear is one of the biggest reasons why learners struggle to improve their speaking skills. They know English, they understand it, but when it's time to speak, they just freeze.
Exactly. And there are a few common reasons behind this. Let's break them down. First, probably the biggest one: fear of making mistakes.
Oh yes, so many learners worry about saying something wrong. They think, what if I use the wrong word? What if my grammar isn't perfect? What if people laugh at me? And this fear stops them from even trying.
But here's the thing: mistakes are normal. Even native speakers make mistakes all the time. Have you ever noticed native speakers correcting themselves while talking?
Yes, all the time. And you know what? No one cares. When you're having a conversation, the goal is communication, not perfection.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the second big reason: fear of being judged. A lot of learners feel shy or embarrassed because they think people will criticize their accent or their way of speaking.
Yes, and this is totally understandable. No one likes feeling embarrassed. But think about this. Most people are actually impressed when someone speaks another language. They're not judging, they're encouraging.
That's so true. People respect the effort. And even if someone corrects you, they're probably just trying to help, not make fun of you.
Exactly. Now, here's another reason people are afraid to speak: fear of forgetting words or getting stuck.
Oh, this is a big one. Many learners feel nervous because they think, what if I forget a word in the middle of my sentence? Then they panic and stop speaking.
But guess what? This happens to everyone. Even native speakers forget words sometimes. The key is to stay calm, find another way to say what you mean, or just pause and continue. It's totally fine.
Yes, and one more reason: fear of not sounding like a native speaker. Some learners hesitate to speak because they think their accent isn't perfect. But let me tell you, there's no such thing as a perfect accent.
Exactly. There are so many English accents around the world. What really matters is clarity, not sounding exactly like a native speaker.
So, to summarize, most people fear speaking English because they worry about making mistakes, being judged, forgetting words, or not sounding perfect. But all of these fears can be overcome.
And in the next section, we'll talk about how fear actually stops your progress and why overcoming it is so important. So stay with us.
Now that we understand why people fear speaking English, let's talk about how this fear actually stops your progress.
Yes, because fear isn't just an emotion, it's something that holds you back from improving. If you let fear control you, you'll never reach your full potential in English.
That's right. Let's start with the first way fear stops your progress. It makes you avoid speaking altogether.
Oh, this is so common. When people are afraid, they choose to stay quiet instead of practicing. They think, I'll just listen and wait until I feel more confident. But guess what? Confidence doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing.
Exactly. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. Speaking is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But if you don't use it, it weakens.
That's a great way to put it. And another thing, fear makes people overthink their words. Instead of speaking naturally, they hesitate, trying to make every sentence perfect before they say it.
Oh, yes. And that hesitation can make conversations feel unnatural. Instead of focusing on communicating, you're stuck in your head, worrying about mistakes.
Exactly. And here's the next way fear stops. Progressist lowers your confidence. The more you avoid speaking, the more you believe I'm not good at English. And that negative mindset becomes a cycle.
Yes, it's like this. You don't speak because you're afraid. And then, because you don't speak, you feel like you're bad at English. And that just makes you more afraid. It's a trap.
And the worst part? Fear stops you from enjoying the process of learning. Instead of feeling excited about improving, you feel stressed. And when you're stressed, learning becomes harder.
That's so true. Studies show that when we're anxious, our brains don't absorb information as well. So fear isn't just stopping you from speaking, it's actually making it harder for you to learn English at all.
Exactly. So if you've been avoiding speaking because of fear, remember, your fear is actually slowing down your progress. But the good news is, you can break this cycle.
Yes, and that's what we'll talk about next. We're going to share real, practical steps to help you overcome your fear and start speaking with confidence. All right, now that we know how fear stops your progress, let's get into the most important part: how to overcome that fear and start speaking English with confidence.
Yes! And if you're listening right now and you've struggled with fear, don't worry. These steps are simple, practical, and anyone can use them to feel more comfortable speaking.
Exactly. Let's start with the first step: change your mindset about mistakes.
This is so important. Instead of thinking, mistakes are bad, start thinking, mistakes help me learn. Every time you make a mistake, you're improving. No one speaks perfectly all the time.
Absolutely. Mistakes mean you're trying, and trying is the only way to get better. So instead of feeling embarrassed, feel proud that you're learning.
That's right. Now step 2, speak even if you feel afraid.
This might sound simple, but it's powerful. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. The best way to become confident is to start speaking, even if it's just a little bit every day.
Exactly. And start small if you need to. Talk to yourself in English, practice in front of a mirror, or record yourself speaking. The more you do it, the less scary it feels.
Great point. Now, step 3, focus on communication, not perfection.
Oh, this one is huge. So many learners worry about grammar, pronunciation, and sounding perfect. But remember, the goal of speaking is to communicate. If people understand you, that's all that matters.
Yes, think about it. When a tourist visits your country and speaks your language, do you care if they make mistakes? No, you're just happy they're trying.
Exactly. People will appreciate your effort. Now, step 4, find a safe place to practice.
This is a game changer. Find someone you feel comfortable speaking with. A friend, a tutor, or even an online speaking group. The more you practice in a supportive environment, the more confident you'll feel.
Yes, and if you don't have a speaking partner, try apps, language exchange websites, or even talking to yourself out loud. The key is to use the language regularly.
Great tip! Now, step 5, train your brain to think in English.
Oh, I love this one. Instead of translating from your native language, start thinking directly in English. Describe what you see around you. Plan your day in English. Small things like this make a big difference.
Absolutely. Thinking in English helps you respond faster in conversations and feel more natural when speaking.
And finally, step 6, have fun with English.
Yes, make English part of your daily life in an enjoyable way. Watch movies, listen to music, join online discussions. When you have fun, learning becomes easier.
Exactly. And remember, speaking English is a journey, not a test. Every time you practice, you're one step closer to confidence.
Well said, Julia. So, to summarize, accept mistakes, start speaking even if you're afraid, focus on communication, find a safe place to practice, think in English, and most importantly, have fun.
Yes, and coming up next, we'll share some easy and fun speaking exercises to help you break the fear and start speaking today.
Now that we've covered the mindset shifts and steps to overcome fear, let's talk about practical exercises that can help you reduce fear and start speaking with confidence today.
Yes, these exercises are designed to ease you into speaking and help you build confidence step by step. You don't have to be perfect right away, just focus on practicing.
Exactly. The first exercise is called the mirror practice. This is a great way to start speaking if you don't have a partner.
Here's how it works. Stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself in English. You can describe what you see around you, tell yourself about your day, or even practice a simple conversation.
This exercise helps you feel more comfortable hearing your own voice in English. It also lets you focus on your facial expressions and body language, which are important in communication.
Exactly. And once you get comfortable with this, try adding more complex sentences or even recording yourself to hear how you sound. It's a great way to track your progress.
Next, we have the shadowing technique. This is a fantastic exercise if you want to improve your speaking skills and reduce fear.
Here's how it works. Find a video or audio clip in English, maybe a podcast or a YouTube video, and repeat what the speaker says as closely as possible right after them. You're essentially shadowing their speech.
This is great because it helps you get used to the rhythm, pronunciation, and intonation of English. And don't worry about getting it perfect at first. Just focus on mimicking the sounds and flow of the language.
And the more you do this, the more natural your speech will become. You'll feel more confident when speaking because you'll be used to hearing and producing the correct sounds.
Now, let's talk about a fun exercise called Speak in Sentences. This is especially helpful if you're nervous about speaking, but want to ease into it.
To start, pick a simple sentence or phrase you want to say. For example, I love reading books. Say that sentence aloud 10 times. Focus on saying it clearly and with confidence.
Once you feel comfortable, move on to more complex sentences. You can even change the sentence slightly, or use different topics, like, I love traveling to new places, or I enjoy learning English every day.
This helps reduce the fear of making mistakes because you're only focusing on one sentence at a time. It also builds your confidence as you practice the same sentence repeatedly until it feels natural.
Another great exercise is the word association game. This one is perfect for improving your fluency and reducing the fear of being stuck while speaking.
Here's how it works. Start with a random word. Let's say apple. Then quickly say another word that comes to your mind, like fruit. Then another word like banana, and so on.
This game helps train your brain to think faster in English. You're practicing the ability to make quick connections, which is essential for fluent conversation.
And remember, don't worry if you make mistakes or pause for a second. The goal is to keep practicing without stopping for too long.
And our final exercise today is Speak with a Language Buddy. This is one of the most effective ways to reduce fear.
Find a language partner, whether it's a friend, a tutor, or someone online. Set a time to talk in English and focus on having a casual conversation. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's about practicing together.
Speaking with someone else helps reduce the pressure because it's a two-way conversation. You'll feel more comfortable and less nervous about making mistakes.
And the more you speak with someone, the more your fear will naturally go away. You'll begin to trust yourself more and become a more confident English speaker.
So, to recap, these practical exercises are mirror practice, shadowing technique, speak in sentences, word association game, and speaking with a language buddy. Each of these exercises will help you overcome fear and build the confidence you need to speak English more freely.
Exactly. And remember, these exercises don't require you to be perfect. The goal is to practice, make mistakes, and improve over time. The more you speak, the easier it becomes.
That's right, Julia. So start practicing today, and remember there's no such thing as perfect English. Only progress. All right. We've talked a lot about how to overcome the fear of speaking English, but sometimes it's inspiring to hear real stories of people who've been in your shoes and have successfully broken through that fear.
Absolutely. Hearing success stories can really motivate you to keep going. So, let me share a story about a student named Maria. When she first started learning English, she was terrified of speaking. Every time she tried to talk, she would freeze up and feel embarrassed.
That's a familiar feeling for many learners. But what made Maria different is that she didn't let fear stop her. She practiced speaking every day, even when she was scared. At first, she practiced alone in front of the mirror, just like we talked about earlier. Then, she started recording herself speaking.
And over time, Maria felt more comfortable. She even started speaking with her language partner regularly, despite feeling nervous at first. Slowly, her confidence grew, and today she speaks English fluently without that constant fear holding her back.
That's amazing! Maria's story shows that progress isn't always immediate. But if you stick with it and keep practicing, you can conquer that fear.
Exactly. And here's another success story about Ahmed. He came from a non-English speaking country, and his biggest fear was speaking to native speakers. He felt that his accent or mistakes would make him look foolish.
But what Ahmed did was start focusing on communication over perfection. He would make small talk with his friends in English every day, even if it was just about the weather or what he had for lunch. It was simple, but consistent.
And slowly but surely, Ahmed's fear started to fade. He stopped worrying about making mistakes and focused on connecting with others. Now he regularly participates in English conversations without the fear he once had.
These stories prove that overcoming fear is possible with practice and persistence. You don't have to be perfect, you just need to keep going and trust the process.
So remember, just like Maria and Ahmed, you can break through your fear and become a confident English speaker. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and celebrate every small victory along the way.
Wow, what an amazing discussion today. We've talked about breaking the fear of speaking English, how to overcome it with practical steps, and even shared some success stories to show you that it's possible.
Exactly. And now it's time for you to take action. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start speaking. Begin now, just like Maria, Ahmed, and so many other learners who've overcome their fears.
So here's your call to action. Pick one of the exercises we talked about today, whether it's talking to yourself in the mirror, recording your voice, or shadowing a video. Do it every day, even if it's just for 5 minutes.
Remember, the key is consistency. Don't worry about making mistakes. Focus on speaking regularly and having fun with it. Each step you take brings you closer to becoming a more confident English speaker.
And if you ever feel discouraged, just remember that you're not alone. There's a whole community of learners just like you, and every day is an opportunity to improve and grow.
Exactly. So, get started today. Break the fear and start speaking. You have everything it takes to succeed.
And before we wrap up, don't forget to hit that like button if you found this podcast helpful, and subscribe to our channel for more tips and motivation to improve your English.
Also, feel free to share your progress or any questions you have in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks so much for listening, and remember, the best way to learn is to speak. See you next time on the English Learning Podcast.